Hello, everyone. I want to welcome you to Around the Globe with Dr. G. I am delighted to have our guest here. Her name is Ronke Martins. She is actually my wife as well. It's interesting interviewing your wife. It's going to be a delightful interview. She is also an HR professional here in London. Welcome, Ronke, to Around the Globe with Dr. G. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you. Good morning, Dr. G.
Very good, very good, very good. Well, we're going to dive into these questions. I know you and I understand about the walk of faith. Obviously, we have had individual walk of faith as well. And so I just want to ask you, how has your walk of faith been like?
Well, for me, God has always been the center of my life, right from the age of probably between 12 and 14. I was born into a Christian home.
Okay.
We went to church, Anglican church back home in Nigeria, and we had faith. I was baptized, did all the confirmation classes and all of that. But I remember vividly when we moved back, because my dad traveled a lot, and there was a particular period of time whereby I was reading two particular Psalms. I was just reading it for some reason. They came to to the forefront of my mind, and I'm thinking, this is strange. So I've memorized those chapters in the Psalms.
What Psalms were those?
91 and Psalm 35.
Okay. Yeah. Those are the familiar ones.
Yeah. So right from then, I believed. I just knew there was a God in heaven, and then as I grew older, I remember there was once actually a friend of mine gave me the book Abdurrasheen, those who worship the Grail.
Okay.
And gave me the book to read, and I'm thinking, okay. And I started to read, and I'm thinking, no, this is not what I want to read. So I put the book away. I just thought that's not for me.
Yeah.
So through my journey, I always believed that God is real, God is alive, and that was who I wanted to focus on, not anything else. Even through trials, tribulations, I always believe that God is real.
Yeah, let's talk about those trials and tribulations and challenges. Could you perhaps give us an example of one of them and how you overcame?
There are many.
That's why I wanted to scale it down to one.
There are many. The first I can remember was my immediate older sister.
Okay.
We were 4 girls. My parents had 2 kids. Well, each had 2 kids before they met. So my mom had a son, my dad had a daughter.
Okay.
But when they got married, they had four girls. And my immediate older sister, we were like twins.
Okay.
She was 2 years older than me. And so she was she had sickle cell anemia. And she had one of her sickle cell episodes, and so she cut her hair. She had to cut her hair because they said it was better for her to cut her hair at the time.
I see.
So being that she was my twin, I cut my hair. I had very full hair. Yeah. And I cut my hair very short. It was like
in support of.
Yeah. Yeah. And I just thought I want to look like my sister.
Yeah.
That's all I want to do. I want to look like my sister. So I cut my hair short, and my dad was in the military and he used to travel. So we went to Alabama this year. USA, yeah. And so we were all home, but my parents had gone out at the time. And all of a sudden, my sister collapsed. My immediate sister, she collapsed.
Yeah.
So my elder sister, I was the third And my elder sister was trying to give her CPR. We called it, the ambulance, called my parents. And by the time we knew it, she went to hospital and she passed away.
That same day?
Yeah, that same day.
Oh, wow.
So that was like my twin. That was, for me, it was very, I can think, gosh, what happened there?
Yeah.
Why is my twin gone?
Was that the first significant person that passed away in your life?
Significant.
Yeah, significant.
Although my grandma died.
Yeah.
But that was the first significant person who passed away.
Yeah.
So we came back, and it was a loss for me, because I just thought, where's my second half?
Yeah.
Even though we weren't twins, but where's my second half? And yeah, so life went on. The house we're living in. I kept on reading those Psalms whenever I remembered them, even through whenever it was just, they were my favorite Psalms. And, so moving a couple of years forward, or many years forward, my immediate younger sister, she had sickle cell anemia as well. So there were two of them who had sickle cell anemia.
Well, this is the second sickle cell incident.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, in 1989, thereabouts, my younger sister passed away. And it was a bit of a difficult time, because it was like, wow, what's going on here? So at that time, I wasn't really, I think, as a teenager, you find different ways to cope with your loss, So, I was very, I was a very stubborn girl at home.
Really?
And yeah, I was a very stubborn girl at home. So, it was difficult. It was a difficult time. And my parents were going through a difficult time as well. So, it was actually, I forget, before that time, when we came back from America, my dad wasn't around, and, I woke up in the middle of the night and there was fire by the air conditioner.
Okay.
And I woke up, I called everyone, there's fire. And,
just spontaneous
fire, And for some reason, I always slept in my dad's room, and it was in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
It was like the Holy Spirit woke me up.
Yeah.
I turned fire. I'm thinking, okay, go and get everyone up. By the time we got this fire extinguisher, we had to just get out of the house. By the time the fire brigade came in Nigeria at that time, you have to rely on the services available to you.
Yeah.
But
not the best at the
time. Not the best at the time.
Yeah.
The first fire brigade came, and water had finished.
Oh, really?
Yeah. In the tank. So the fire was still going on anyway, but we were all safe out. And anyway, by the time the second one came, it was like
the house had burnt.
The house, the top
part of the
house had burnt down. And when people look at the house, they say, "Did anyone survive that?" Because it was like it was a bad fire. Mm-hmm. So anyway, we moved away, and then my sister passed away and all of that. Mm-hmm. So those difficult times, they were hard, but I still believe that God was faithful. I never, not once, doubted God's faithfulness.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually leads me to another question. I know that through these challenges, you have been steadfast in your faith, but I also know that with incidents like this, very difficult things like this, some people actually fall away. Some people blame God, some people blame whoever, but yeah, it's what challenges really do to certain people. Yeah. The question is, how have you how have you remained? What has made you to remain so steadfast in spite of the loss of the first sister, loss of the second sister? I know that there are other losses that you haven't talked about, but I know that there have been other losses in your life, and the fire that almost consumed not just the house, but you as well. Throughout all these things, how have you been so steadfast in your faith?
I just believe that no matter what, I mean, you look at I always go back to think about the Israelite journey, 40 years, Job's life. He lost everything. Joseph, what happened to him? Many, many prophets in the Bible. And I think to myself, well, they were human beings. If they could go through that, who am I? And then in reality, in real life, those were the days in the Bible. My mum was a strength for me because she was resilient. She was a strong woman, and she had many losses in her life, difficult marriage. And I thought to myself, well, this can't kill me. It can only make me stronger. And because my mom was still standing, it's like, how can she, people will break down. People will, go to mental homes because of what they've been through.
It happens.
So I thought to myself, no, I'm going to do my best to believe that there is light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
God is with me no matter what is going on in my life.
That is so awesome, because basically what you're saying is that you drew strength not only from the people that we read about in the Bible, like Joseph, like Job, and all the prophets that had so many different challenges, but they stood steadfast. But you also drew strength from your mom, who was a rock for you as well.
Yeah.
That is so inspiring.
Yeah.
Very, very inspiring.
Yeah.
One of the favorite verses in the Bible is that God is faithful. Can you attest to that in your life?
God has been faithful. Indeed. He always remains faithful, no matter what. We go through trials, we go through difficulties, we go through periods of jubilation. And there was a time that things were okay. And then, I was looking forward to the future, and my dad passed away in November, 2020, October, 2020.
Yeah.
And it was like, God, what's this about? He was okay. And all of a sudden he felt, he had been, my dad was a very strong man.
Yeah.
And, he used to play golf. He was in the military, he
was a top person in the military, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. And he had faith. He, through life, through challenges with my mom, he found faith. And he was also my rock because he went to Israel. He went to Bible school.
After he retired,
after he retired,
commander in the military.
Yeah, he retired, and he just followed God. And I was thinking, wow, this is awesome. This is a change person. And my dad, people used to call me Daddy's girl.
Yeah.
I love my parents, both of them, and he was not, he wasn't a disciplinarian. My mom was a disciplinarian.
That's funny. You would think that a military commander would be the disciplinarian.
My dad was the opposite. He was not a disciplinarian at all. He was a very loving dad. And, we all looked up to him. And so I lost my dad. He would call me every Sunday. And all of a sudden, no more calls.
No more,
wow. And he was gone. And then, it was during the pandemic that was the year of the pandemic, and I had to travel back home to Nigeria, to bury him. And my mom was very strong because she cared for my dad, even though herself, she was, she struggled a bit, but she was able, she was she was just tired, and then come Februry 2021, my mom passed away.
Wow. Barely months after
months after my dad passed, and my mom passed away. So that was a difficult time. It was like, okay, God, what is going on here? And I wasn't afraid of death. I was thinking, am I going to die next? Or why is my family, why is my, two sisters many years ago, what's going on but I continue to believe in God, because that's all you have to do. You have faith, you trust God, and, you know that no matter what, God has got your back. And then moving to September 21, my older sister, the last one, passed away.
Wow.
So that was, it was like, okay, right.
Three in
less than
in the period of what? Less than a year.
Yeah, less than a year. And that was quite difficult. It was very difficult. It was, I remember in the hospital, sitting with her in the hospital praying. And I think that there was a point in time that I was praying, believing that God will heal her. I'll say to God, you're the God who heals. You're the God who cleanses. Heal my sister. And, and there will be a glimmer of hope. But at one time, the hospital said, there's nothing, that they would have to turn her off the life machine. And we kept saying, no, can't we wait a few days? They said, there's nothing. They waited, a few days from when she, but there was nothing they could do.
There was nothing they could do. Yeah.
So that was, for me. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm the only one left from my lineage. That is, who I came to this world with. I was the only one.
Last person standing.
The last person standing, even though I had other siblings.
Yeah.
Because my dad had two kids, two other brother and sister, younger. And but I was the last one standing. But despite that, I still believed. I still had faith. I still believed that God was in control of what was going on. I think I did have fear in me, thinking, okay, am I going to go next, or what's going to happen? But I didn't let that, it didn't turn me away from God. It didn't turn me, in fact, I went closer to God. I drew strength from God, because I knew that whatever happens, God knows everything. I'm not the first person to lose. Job lost everything.
Yeah.
So during that period, I kept going back to Job. I read the whole book of Job.
Book of Job.
After my sister had passed away, I had to read it, and I thought, okay, Job lost everything, but he still believed and had faith. He never doubted. He trusted God, but and I thought, well, okay, I have to, I'm going to continue to have faith no matter what. It's happened to Job. Joseph went to prison. I didn't go to prison, but Job lost everything. So I, in my life, anytime I go through a difficult time, I always go back to Job, to look at his life, to see what happened to him.
Yeah. Wow. That's incredible. I mean, it's very admirable, really, in regards to the many, many tragic losses that you have faced, and the fact that, number one, you're still steadfast in your faith. You haven't lost any ground in regards to that. I just want to say for our audiences, I know that there are people out there that have also lost many people that are close to them, including myself. I can certainly relate to those things and those losses that you share. So one of the things that I get out of speaking to you is the fact that anytime that there's a tragic situation, a challenge, you always go back to find inspiration from the Word of God. I mean, Job's story is a huge one, a huge lesson of faith and revival and restoration. And it's one of my favorite stories in the Bible as well. So I just admire you for continuing to stay strong in spite of everything. I want to ask you a question in regards to your work. How do your purpose and your desire, how do they align with your work? I know you're an HR professional. How do your desires and your purpose, how do they align with your work?
Well, so back in 2016, I was in a permanent position and there was no room for progression there. And I thought, okay, I think I've had enough now. And, as a single, divorced mother back then, you think, okay, what do you do next?
Yeah.
I was frustrated. I wasn't frustrated in the job, but there was just no room to progress. So I thought, okay, I need to look for something else. I need to do something else. Still in the HR profession. So I took a step of faith. I resigned without having anything to go to. And, in those days, you don't do that.
Yeah, that is certainly a step of faith. I say good for you.
In those, you don't do that. Especially,
absolutely.
You have 2 boys to feed and it's like, okay, well, I'm going to take a step of faith.
Yeah, good for you.
And I resigned. I think I had 2 months notice. And then that same year, I wrote a vision that I had about supporting women.
Okay.
I called a trust and I just had a vision. I said, I want to support women, empower women who have been divorced, to feel self-worth. And so that was a vision I wrote down in 2016 as well.
Okay.
So when I resigned, I had probably about 10 interviews, no joy. And then
no job came
no job came up out of it.
Okay.
And then, so I was beginning to think, did I make the right decision? So I began to speak to God and he said to me, he's got my back, and I thought, okay. So I had faith again.
Yeah.
Sometimes I've always had faith, but your faith sometimes dwindles, wanes. And you just think, oh, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Not I didn't believe. I knew, but it was like, what did I do?
Did I make the right decision in leaving the job before I found another one? Yeah.
So in my room one morning, I had an interview in my bed, on the phone, and the lady asked me a few questions and all of that. And maybe 30 minutes later, 45 minutes later, she called me and said, you got the job.
Wow. Amazing.
And this was when, you had to go face to face for an interview.
Yeah.
It was like, amazing. Oh, wow, I've got the job. So since
no face to face.
No face to face. I got the job. Even the job, the one before that was similar.
Okay.
It was similar. And so I got the job. It was a contract role. So then for about a period of 2.5 years, I contracted in HR and still thinking of my purpose. I wanted to do something, but, carried on. Then I went into a permanent position. And then, I think since then I've probably been in about maybe, 3 positions or so. And then recently, this year, I thought to myself, Elisha,
Elisha
Trust was the name of the company that I wanted to establish. And it came back to my mind, and I'm thinking, okay, this Elisha Trust, what do I want to do with it? Where do I want to go with it? I don't feel satisfied in my job at this present time. I was quite frustrated.
Yeah.
I wasn't happy. I think right from November, December, it was like my down moments.
Yeah.
And even though on the outside, no one would know, but on the inside, it eats you up. You just think, you just, you wake up, you have your shower, you dress up and you go get, you go again.
Do what you gotta do.
You do what you gotta do.
Yeah.
But internally, I was battling, I was speaking to God. I was saying, God, what's next? What's next for me? So January, February, March were just quite difficult moments for me. And I was thinking, so we began to pray and put Elisha Trust into God's hand. And one day I thought, okay, I'm going to resign.
You've done it before.
I've done it before.
And God has been faithful.
And God has been faithful. So I'm going to resign. So the week before I resigned, I think toward the end of last week in March, I was sitting on the sofa and I was just scrolling through LinkedIn for jobs, and I saw this job. I thought, this is a good job. Just apply, And I think a few days later, I got called to say they would like to interview me. Oh, wow. This is great. Thinking, wow, this is, and it fitted with my calling.
Okay. So I was about to ask you, the job aligned with your calling. And your desires.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, it was just, when I looked at the company's, website, I'm thinking, and I looked at Elisha Trust and looked at the vision I put down for Elisha Trust, I'm thinking, this has got to be God.
Wow. They were just so similar.
It was just so similar. It was unbelievable. I'm thinking, okay, this is my job. So came 2nd of April, I resigned, from my post, having 3 months notice. And then on the 3rd of April, I had the first interview with the, company. And then, they said, okay, they'll get back to me for the end of the week. I got a call the next day saying, oh, they would like to have they'll have to catch up. I thought I was going to be meeting the team or something. At the interview, they said to me, it was just one interview, and the next thing will be to meet the team. So, so the interview was on Friday, and I met with them, and they said to me, oh, they just wanted to follow up, just wanted to, understand my desire to work for them. Because I think they realized that I was taking a huge pay cut.
Yeah.
Kind of like a significant pay cut to start with. And I said, listen, this has been my life purpose for close to 14 years. And this is what I want to do. I know this is what I want to do. So
you were determined.
I was determined.
Resolute.
I was determined. I said, this is the job, and I said, okay, thank you. So, so I think I had decided on the Friday I was going to buy a bottle of champagne to celebrate because, I thought the deal was done, and I thought I would get a call on late on Friday to say, I've got the job. But the call didn't come through. So anyway, the weekend went through. And then on Monday, I get the call. And the lady offers me the job. Saying, yay, fantastic.
Yes.
So I was happy. I was glad. And then we started to communicate about terms, pay, and all of that. And then it was like, you go from a high to a like, what's going on here? And I think the message one that I read, she wishes me all the best.
Oh boy. Now, you've been offered the job already.
Yes. without, I hadn't actually got a contract, but I'd been
Yeah,
offered
but you'd
verbally.
been verbally
Yeah,
offered the
offered
job
the job.
already, and you thought you
Yes,
got it in the
I got
bag.
it.
This is it.
Yes,
This is
it.
it's
Yeah.
done.
Yeah.
But it wasn't quite done.
It wasn't quite done.
Oh boy.
So, so for a period of about a week or so, it was like a spiritual gym.
Yeah, yeah.
It was like
The boxing match.
Yeah, the boxing match. You know,
Somebody had to be knocked out.
You're knocking.
Your opponent.
Yeah, it's like, okay, what is going on here? And with the prayers. I remember, we prayed. This different songs came to my mind. Victory is mine, the Nigerian praise worship song, Victory is mine, victory is mine.
Yeah,
Victory today is mine. I told Satan to get thee behind me. Victory today is mine.
That's
So
a lovely song.
that was
anyone that's in battle.
That was my anthem for
Victory
a period.
is mine.
Victory is mine. But that was my anthem for a period of time. And I kept on praying. I kept on believing. I'm thinking, God, this is the job. This is it. This is Elijah Trust in reality. I don't have to create.
No doubt.
I had no doubt.
It was to the fact that this was the job for you. It aligned with exactly what you had been told about Elijah Trust many years ago.
Yes, it did.
Yeah.
Yes, it did.
And you got it, and it almost got snatched.
It almost got snatched away. But I thought, no, this job isn't going anywhere. This is my job because I prayed for it. I know it's mine. No one else is going to take that job away from me and all of that. So, eventually, it all said and done, the offer came. We now agreed. I think it was, probably because they knew I was taking a pay cut.
Yeah.
And it was the travel into London. And I said to her, listen, I know what I want. This is my job. This is what I want to do. I want to work for this organization because it's my life purpose. That's where I want to be. So, with all that said and done, I eventually got my offer letter, last week. And
that's certainly a praise God moment, isn't it? Yeah.
And the funny thing is, another victory song came again. So there are moments in my life whereby songs come to my mind.
Yeah.
And, we all have our favorite songs, favorite worship song, praise songs and all of that. And I was in bed one morning and I had, stopped going to Instagram since January or since December or something. And I went onto Instagram because, my, our eldest son, Ahmed, and his wife went on holiday.
Okay. Yeah.
So
right.
I was looking at their posts, just to update. And so I had to promise that I will look at their posts on Instagram rather than expecting them to send me pictures. So I was scrolling and came across, one of my favorite artists, Sinachi.
Okay.
And it was what she posted was a boxing match between two females. So
it's like that spiritual gym.
Yeah, just like the spiritual gym. A big girl, a big girl and a small girl, and they were boxing, and then the little girl punched the bigger girl, and she fell to the floor.
Kind of like a David and Goliath story, yeah.
And then at the background music was playing with Victory. And then I'm thinking, So anyway, so Sinachi, on her feed, she said, she was coming to London. So I thought, I am going there.
Yeah.
And then I listened to the song properly and I'm thinking, oh my God, Victory. This is my song. I didn't connect the boxing ring with what had been going on. It was when I shared it with you, you said, oh, that is the spiritual gym. And I thought, oh God, this is the spiritual gym. Yes, I can see it. And then the song in the background, Victory, it was like victory. I have won. So in all of it, it was like God has given me victory. and I just, I'm so grateful to God for his steadfastness towards me.
Absolutely, absolutely. What a fascinating and inspiring story. You got the confirmation twice on victory. You heard the song in your spirit, victory, and then at the end with Sinachi, you heard it again, victory. Oftentimes, God gives us confirmation of His presence and His word. That's so fascinating.
Yes.
Last question. You were talking about favorite songs. What would you say your favorite Bible verse is?
So, I wouldn't say it's a verse. It's a verse. I would say it's a chapter.
Okay.
Psalm 91 has been a favorite psalm of mine, and I memorized the psalm when I was young. It has 16 verses, and I used to recite it without actually needing to read the Bible, but now I have to always go back and, because, time has passed. And, it starts with, he who dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, he is my refuge and my fortress, my God in whom I trust. And the whole psalm is a psalm of comfort for me. It's a psalm of saying that I trust in God. I dwell in his secret place always, and he will be my shield and my buckler. And for me, that's all I need, to know that I dwell in the secret place of the Most High, and I always abide under the shadow of his wings. I'm not going to try and recite the whole psalm now,
but the few verses that you quoted is actually very, very powerful.
Yeah.
And the fact that back in the day, you knew the psalm by heart.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is that many, many years later in your life, even till today, those words continue to be rock solid for you.
Yeah.
Even in the world, we have words that we use as words of encouragement, inspiration, and affirmation.
Yeah.
I tell people that words are so significant. Now, the word of God is even more significant because these words are eternal. These words are spiritual. These words have a strength like no other. And so it's a bedrock.
Yes, it is.
And I see that in your life, you have utilized the word of God as affirming, to give you strength, to give you comfort.
And it's a weapon.
And a weapon as well.
It's a weapon.
A weapon. Absolutely.
Yeah. There are two chapters, Psalm 91 and Psalm 35.
Yeah.
Psalm 35 has 27, I think, verses. I memorized that psalm as well. Contend, O Lord, with those who contend with me. You will fight against those who fight against me. You will take up your shield and your buckler. You will arise and come to my aid. And it is when you go through difficult times, when you think that everything around you is crumbling, that psalm is the best psalm to read. It will take you from being down in the dumps to a higher place.
Wow.
Because it is a powerful verse.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Well, it is believable.
Yes.
I have also used Psalm 35 in my life as well.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. What words of inspiration. Ronke, I just want to thank you for being here, for taking the time to be with us today on Around the Globe with Dr. G. Thank you. Keep walking.
Thank you,
in
Dr.
that
G.
faith. Keep walking.
Thank
Keep
you.
walking.
Thank you.